Everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. I hope you're having a fantastic week. As always,
we are live from Austin, Texas, right here in Insurance Syndicate headquarters. And man, we have a great show for you.
Good morning. Good morning. What is happening, man? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday morning on January the 13th here. And happy belated New Year again. I know we were on the show last week with a couple of my partners, Tim James, Eric Fierro. And we wished you all a happy new year. But again, I want to wish you another happy new year, because that's ultimately what this show is going to be about, is understanding how to set your mind right for the rest of the year. We got a very special guest coming on today that I'm super, super excited to get onto the show. And we will be bringing him up shortly. But first things first, as always, I do sometimes have some news that I want to discuss. And I got one article that I found today that I want to put up and chat with you guys about. It's not new news, truthfully, but it is new again. Guess who's in the news again? United Healthcare's in the news again. Imagine that. They're in the news. This is an article from Healthcare Dive. And United Healthcare has already been in trouble for this once in the past. And as I remember, they settled that lawsuit. If I remember correctly, they were also involved in a lawsuit with CMS over star ratings and dealt with that one. So they're no stranger to that side of the business, the lawsuit side I'm talking about. And here they are again. It says United Health aggressively gaming Medicare Advantage. And it says staffers for Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican out of Iowa, dove into 50,000 pages of documentation for United Health for the new report, which accuses the company of maintaining a workforce dedicated to upcoding. Now, if you don't know what upcoding means, that basically means that they are coding diagnoses, right, for beneficiaries to make them appear sicker than they really are. Why would they do that? Because they get more money when they do that, right? The whole purpose of paying Medicare Advantage plans more money to take on sicker patients is to offset the cost of the claims that they're going to deal with, right? Same reason Medicare supplement carriers take rate adjustments is because their block of business has gotten sick and they need to increase the rates on the premiums so that they can help offset those claims. Same concept here. The problem is when it's done this way, then insurance companies can game the system because they can upcode people that aren't that sick so that they can get extra money and just make extra profit. Right? Pretty simple way of cooking the books, and United Healthcare is in the news about it again. I'm not going to go through this whole article. I wanted to basically just bring it up and point attention to it. I've already put it in the group, but one of the ways that they do this, just to give you an example, and this is probably one of the most common ways, is right here. They do these home health risk assessments. And if you've got a beneficiary on United Healthcare, you've probably had someone come to their house and do the health risk assessment with them, right? And basically when those nurses or those staffers come out there, they're using coders again, and they're going to review medical records and incentivize them to add extra diagnoses. Some of the diagnoses, I want to show you real quick that they're doing. And these are fairly interesting real quick. And here's the expert I was kind of talking about right here. It says to prevent insurers from cherry picking healthy Medicare enrollees, the government pays extra for sicker members. And regulators account for that difference in payment through a process called risk adjustment. Fairly simple, right? But when it's done this way, you can definitely game the system. So what is United Healthcare doing? What are some of the items that they are doing here? Just right down here a little further. They're doing stuff in regards to opioids and AFib are two big ones that they are using. So for example, as it says right here, United Health guides providers to diagnose patients who take prescribed opioids as physically dependent on the drugs, even if they haven't experienced withdrawal systems and are taking the opioids as recommended according to the report. That allows the company to capture certain codes for opioid dependence that should only apply to moderate and severe opioid use disorder. Similarly, United Health tells providers to diagnose dementia without a full dementia evaluation. Atrial fibrillation, when patients are on certain drugs without checking whether they are actually prescribed for AFib or not, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease without even a lung function test. Oh, the times they are a-changing. So this article is in the group. Again, this isn't the first time that we've seen this from United Healthcare. They have been guilty of it before, and this is just another time. So thought I'd throw that out there for you. And if it's not just enough with United Healthcare, there's still don't forget, and there hasn't been any updates on it yet, but I've been watching. There is still a massive lawsuit going on between CMS, eHealth, SelectQuote, and GoHealth, the three largest call centers out there peddling Medicare Advantage plans, along with Anthem, Aetna, and Humana. They're all involved in one lawsuit together that CMS has sued them and the Department of Justice going after them, saying that they are guilty of following similar procedures, but in a little different fashion. Basically, Anthem and Aetna and Humana are supposedly guilty of paying these call centers more to sort out the sick people and send them to them and make sure that they get the sick people in order so they can get the extra government funds. Because from there, they know they can probably upcode them even further and get more and more money out of them. So that's another lawsuit that's already going. So, yeah, there's a lot of fraud happening in the Medicare space. And it's not just doctors. I talk about the doctors, and I'm not talking legitimate, like reputable, solid doctors. I want to be real clear. But physicians, a lot of times from overseas, that have come here and have now set up shop and are running durable medical equipment schemes, right? We've talked about catheters. We've talked about skin grafts. There's a couple that we found in Arizona that built Medicare out of over $1 billion doing skin grafts. So there's a ton of fraud, and some of it is obviously in the provider side of business. I mean, the carrier side of the business in that regards, right? The ones providing the benefits. So stay tuned on that. I will keep you abreast of any updates that I see on that. But chances are we are going to see another lawsuit come down on United Healthcare for upcoding. And this has been a common argument in Medicare Advantage for a while. I remember sitting in on a podcast about 2 years ago, and there were two groups of actuaries that were debating the whole idea. Is upcoding a big problem? And is it a problem enough that it is costing Medicare more money? Hence, is it costing taxpayers more money? And then the other group was kind of arguing the opposite side. Turns out, like after looking through this a lot, Medicare Advantage, and this is an article from Kaiser Family Foundation, Medicare Advantage costs taxpayers and the federal government about 22% more than original Medicare. Why? Well, there's a lot more benefits built in, packed into these Medicare Advantage plans. There's massive, they're over subsidized. And then now you have them guilty of upcoding so that they can get more subsidy money. Now, I don't know if anyone has done the math. I have not seen it yet on how much of that 22% overage, right? If Medicare Advantage is costing original Medicare more, or costing the government 22% more than original Medicare, I don't know how much of that is attributed to practices such as upcoding, for example. I would assume probably a pretty significant portion of it. So I've talked about this before. I'm not the only one that's talking about it, but we are going to see some massive changes in our marketplace over the next 12 months, 9 months, probably, in regards to getting a handle on these overages, right? This 22% difference. Our government is tired of spending or giving money to bloated insurance companies, especially if they are going to game the system through upcoding to get more money. And they are going to steer customers using call centers right? And overpaying call centers for certain types of applications to steer them to them so they can get more money out of the government. They're not playing that game anymore. At least that's what they would have you believe with some of the things they're putting out, some of the changes that they put in the new final rule proposal for 2027, for example, shows that they are pushing, and even last year and the previous year, they're pushing more documentation, more reporting onto these carriers for their benefits being utilized, et cetera, et cetera. And they're definitely checking into this whole upcoding problem, which has been an issue for a while. They want to crack down on it. And if they crack down on it properly, in my opinion, like, then we should have more money for the beneficiary to actually have good benefits in the plans. If we just stop stealing the money from the government and we use it for proper things, then in my opinion, like, wouldn't we have more money to put real benefits into the product to actually give good care to these clients? I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Anyway, stay tuned on that one, man. I will keep you guys in the loop as I see more updates on that, and also the giant lawsuit between Anthem, Humana, et cetera, et cetera. I will keep you guys in the loop on that one as well. But without further ado, I'm excited to bring on our guest for the day. I met this gentleman at a conference. Imagine that. Like, if you know me, you know I attend a lot of conferences. There was one year that I did, I think it was 26 conferences in a period of about 14 months. I spoke at like 18 of them or something. It was ridiculous. It was a very busy time. This was that same year, or that same stretch. And I met this, I met him at the SWAT conference. And if you've never been to SWAT, let me just plug that for you. You need to be going to SWAT at least once in your life. You should go attend a SWAT conference. It's easily probably some of the best knowledge that I have ever gotten for my individual self, to help me with my individual self, and also in terms of running a business, recognizing and relating to people and building relationships better. Easily one of the best conferences to teach you that. I met this gentleman at SWAT, super nice guy. He's an insurance agent. He's an author. He is a leader in the business, thought leader, speaker, and I'm super excited to bring him on stage. He is known for one of his books, at least that I've been reading, is The Millionaire Mindset, Mr. Daniel Gomez from Daniel Gomez Inspires. How are you doing, my friend?
Good morning, brother. Good morning. I'm pumped up. I'll tell you what, man, just hearing you talk about what you're talking about, you got to have the mindset that's right, because it's easy to get lost in negativity in business. It's easy to get lost. And as I was listening to you talk, Tony, man, I was pumped up. I was ready. And it can bring you down when you hear negative stuff in business. And I want your insurance agents to hear this, right? You have to develop a resilient mindset in business, because it doesn't matter what you're doing in business, whether you're doing annuities, whether you're doing insurance, whether you're doing life or casualty, you're gonna get pushback. And I think something that I've seen in business, Tony, in the insurance agency, is we start with this goal of being successful because we see other people doing it, and like yourself and your wife, and we see the Cody Askins, and we think, man, it's easy, but it's not.
Yeah, those guys make it look easy.
And you have to, I want your audience to write this down. Ladies and gentlemen, write this down. You have to have a passion for what you do. If you're doing insurance, if you're doing it just for the money, once you hit a hard wall, once you hear the negativity of what's going on around you, it's going to swallow you up, and it's going to consume you. And before you know it, you're going to be out of the industry. And because you don't have that resilience, that grit, I call it, that you need. And it's because they have a weak mindset, and then they speak with the weak language, Tony. That's what I thought about as we're starting out, because what you're talking about is truth. But if you don't have the capacity to bounce back from negative stuff, like, dude, I'm being totally transparent. My father-in-law just died yesterday, bro. Like, I had a choice. I could have either not canceled today or canceled. And I chose to not cancel because I'm a professional. But many people, and not that I'm not heartless or nothing. I love my wife. We're here from our home office. But the truth is this: you got to be resilient when stuff hits you in the face, because you know why? It's gonna hit you.
Yeah, this is the hardest business to make a living in the world, or at least in the US for sure, right? From all the different business opportunities that are out there, insurance is known for being pretty much the hardest, harder than real estate, harder than many other industries. You know, we see the numbers. 92% of agents fail in this business in the first 3 years. I would say, in my opinion, I would say most of them fail because of exactly what Daniel just said, because of the lack of resilience. 100%. Passion is a big part of it too. You have to have that passion that drives you to get through those first couple of years that are brutally hard. You're learning a new business. You're trying to make money. And depending on how you're going about it, whether you're a captive agent or that things are provided to you, it's still going to be difficult because you're still going to have to deal with no's and people telling you to piss off and hit the road, etc., and not trusting you. And even more so if you're an independent agent, you're having to learn how to market and deal with commission only. And like, how do I make money while I'm trying to feed myself? Like, I need money today, but this is commission only. I'm trying to build a marketing pipeline and all of this. It's not easy, man. This is not an easy game.
I can't imagine anybody making you upset, Tony. but think about what we're talking
You
about.
wouldn't want to see it.
And think about what we're talking about. You know, when I wrote my book, the Millionaire Mind, the makings of a millionaire mind, I didn't want to write it. And I didn't want to write it, Tony, because I didn't want the pushback. The key word is pushback, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't want the pushback from family members. I didn't want the pushback from friends that Daniel is greedy. All he talks about is money. But the reality, so this is the word, pushback and but. You're not going to succeed unless there's pushback, because it's the pushback that I realize that makes you stronger. It's the pushback that makes you a better agent. It's the pushback that's going to build the tenacity that you need to be in the levels where you and Joe are at, right? It's those levels of pushback. And the more pushback you can handle, then the more pushback, it just becomes second nature, right? The pushback isn't, and what I wrote up in the book is right. Embrace the hardships, because it's the very pushback. It's a very hardship, but you have a choice, right? That's where the but comes in. The pushback is here, but what are you going to do? I just finished explaining to your audience that I had a family member, my father-in-law passed away yesterday, and I made a decision. I'm going to alter my day. Instead of going to the corporate office of our DGE, I'm working from my home office. I'm here with my wife, right? We're going to hang out today, and just whatever I need to do for her to comfort her. You adjust. And many insurance agents, many business people, not just insurance agents, but business people, the perspective doesn't change, and they wonder why they're stuck in business, because they didn't take into account how strong the pushback was going to be, and B, the but is they didn't have the right perspective, so they got swallowed up in the negativity. And then they blame they have the blame game where, man, Tony's my upline. I'm calling him. He's not answering. Well, guess what? Tony's busy too. There comes a point, Tony, where it doesn't matter if you're insurance, financial planner. You got to stop. You got to get off the Gerber milk is what I'm saying. We want to stay on the Gerber milk. We want to stay on the baby food, but we want the steaks of Tony. We want the steaks of Joe. We want the steaks of the Nate. We want the steaks of the successful insurance people we see out there, but they still want to eat the Gerber food, and they never want to mature to eating the steak because of their own refusal. This is the key word. If you want to be successful in 2026, you must be open to the change that is mandatory. The change, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, the change that is mandatory. And I'm talking to myself because
I hear you.
My daughter came in. My daughter's just doing an amazing job, and we really gelled as a father-daughter team. But man, she opened up my perspective in so many ways. And this is the thing. When God wants to change you sometimes, there's a scripture in the Bible that says God spoke through a donkey. Well, if God can speak through a donkey, he can speak through your wife, which most men ignore, and God can speak through your daughter, once again, which I'm the father, I'm the mom. You don't know, you're the kid. Well, guess what? My kids are pretty educated, and they've had the different experiences than dad, and I've learned from all three of my kids.
Yeah. You're treading on some thin water there, or thin ice, comparing your wife to a donkey. But, you got to be real careful how you word that.
Well, the thing is this: is that as men and women, we're stuck in our own perspective. And when you read books like The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, I'm not talking from theory. I'm not talking from hypothesis. I'm talking about stuff that I live to get to where I'm at the capacity that I'm at.
Yeah.
And many people, they want the results of the Tony Morwins. They want the results of the higher level people, of the Joes, but they don't want to change and do the things that, right. I was at SWAT, and I was talking to somebody about marketing. They're like, well, I'll market when I have the money. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. But think about this. You and I were just having a conversation. You're investing. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Tony's investing in the marketing of the business. And the mistake that many people make is they get some type of revenue, right? Some type of profits. And then right away they get that profits and they go buy crap they can't afford to keep up with insurance agents that don't even care about them. Let's be honest. And what you were and I were discussing was you take those profits, some of the profits, and you reinvest them into marketing. And right now, we're just getting a bigger office here in San Antonio. So we're reinvesting thousands into new furniture, into a new lease, because if we really want to expand and grow, it takes the investment. When you realize this, ladies and gentlemen, when you realize that, A, you're the best investment that you can ever invest in. Average people, poor people, they'll go and invest in a Louis Vuitton. They'll go invest in a new iPhone. But it's amazing when you ask them to invest in themselves. Oh, I can't afford it. Well, you just bought a brand new set of wheels for your car. How can you not afford it? You just bought that LCD TV. Hey, you can't afford it. But didn't I just see you on at the Spurs game spending about $300 on tickets? Weren't you just at the Cowboys game? Or right? People think in scarcity. Poor people, poor-minded people invest in liabilities and buy liabilities like what I'm just discussing when they can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, what's the flip coin of that? Is sacrifice.
Yeah, the flip coin
Right.
is this, is that like right now, even though I had the capacity to go buy something nice cash, I'm not going to do it because is it wise? And the flip coin of that is this, is that when you realize you're your best investment, you're going to continue investing in yourself. This is the key word. People say, well, why should I write a book? Because guess what? A book is not a liability. A book is an asset. How many people need to know who you are as an insurance agent, whether it's annuities, whether it's disability, whether it's term life, and they don't know who you are. But when you put your picture, right? When you put your picture in front of a book, and now they know who you are when they go to a conference like you were talking about. Now, like, hey, that's that Tony guy. He wrote a book. What does it do that compared to other insurance agents? It raises your credibility. Now, a great person that's doing this is a good friend of mine, Roy Schnarr. Roy Schnarr's crushing it in annuities, having his own conferences there in Austin, Texas. And what did he do? Roy Schnarr invested in himself. He said, Daniel, I want to become a better speaker. So I coached him on speaking. He's done phenomenal. He came and he spoke at our event at the Millionaire Mind Bootcamp. And not that I'm getting the credit, but the thing is this is first of all, he invested in himself, money, thousands. And then this is the problem that a lot of business owners, not just insurance agents, but across the platform and entrepreneurs, they invest, but then they don't apply. They invest, but they don't apply. So you got the first level of right, the poor-mindedness. They're out there. I don't have any money, Tony. Well, you know what? I can't help you. But that's the same person that's going to go and spend on happy hour $300 on margaritas and lunch there in Austin. And I thought you didn't have any money. Well, what? No, they're just poor-minded, so they're not used to investing in themselves. The second thing is they're not then the ones that do go to the next level and start attending some of these conferences. Well, guess what? Now you're going to SWAT, you're going to your event, Tony, and it's great content. And this didn't work. They blame it on Tony. Well, they blame it on the guy on the stage. Well, he was a bunch of bull. Well, did you apply what you learned? And to the defense, I'm going to come to the defense of America. To the defense of most Americans, this is a lie, though, we've been told. So let me give you a couple of the lies. Can we play a game, Tony, real quick, just to get to
love games.
All right. So I'm going to start a phrase, and I'm pretty confident you're going to know the answer, even though we don't spend a lot of time together. I'm pretty sure you're a smart guy, very, very wise, and let's go.
All right,
Money,
I'm ready.
money doesn't grow on
Trees.
who do you think you?
R.
The early bird gets the.
Worm.
How did you know those?
Huh? We've been partners on Super Password before. Like we've done this.
And
We
but
could go on. We could definitely go on a game show tour. Game show tour with that kind of energy.
but think about this. Think about one of the biggest lies we've been told is sticks and stones may break my bones, but.
Words will never hurt me.
And what do we carry around as insurance agents deep down inside? The words that your dad told you that you're not good enough. The words that your mom told you, why can't you be more like your sister? And then we start getting some success, but then that dialogue comes up of self-sabotage. And because you don't have a coach, you try to do it on your own. And the very success that you had your first $8,000, $10,000 month, now those beliefs come up that you're not worthy, that you can't be like your sister, that you can't do anything right, that your dad told you. I've seen it. I've gone through it. And when people say, well, how did you become a coach, Daniel? It's like, because first of all, I had to work on myself. I had to invest on myself. But the reason I became a coach is because I love helping people understand that there's another level to life that they have inside of them already. Once they stop believing all the lies they heard as a kid. And going back to why we played this game, the biggest lie, one of the other biggest lies, apart from what we just discussed, is this. We heard this in grade school. Knowledge is power. So 99% of people stop there. It's a lie. It's a partial truth. It's a partial truth. But you and I both know if you're partially obedient, you're still disobedient, are you not?
Correct.
So
it's the application of knowledge. It's not to steal your thunder there.
Yes.
It's the application of knowledge, which is your second point, right? Invest in yourself, apply what you've learned. There's an old, I think it's a Buddhist metaphor or Buddhist lesson on that in regards to being a good student, where basically you have to always show up with that empty cup, which means you let go of your ego, number one. You let go of all of the statements that were told to you that you're no good, you can't do this, you're stupid, you're too dumb, you never make it, whatever it is. You have to let go of all of those things, those fears, that ego. You have to always show up at the empty cup. You have to invest in yourself. That's filling up the cup, right? And then drinking the cup is actually executing what you've learned. And then you repeat that process over and over. So I'm super familiar with that. I talk about that a lot, but that's a big issue for a lot of folks. They go and they'll sit in a conference, or they'll go and they'll pay someone lots of money to learn something from them, or they'll read a book, they'll buy a book, they'll read it, and then they won't do shit with it. Pardon my language.
Yeah.
But then it's like, great, cool. I see them. I mean, I'm just as guilty. Like, I'm not the only person out there. I've done this. I've gone to conferences, taken amazing notes, and then I go back and I put that book in a drawer somewhere, and then your life is busy. You get distracted. You forget about it. You forget to go back and review it. You forget to go back and look at it so that it can reignite you why you took those notes. And they're like, oh, yeah, because I wanted to implement that into this piece of my business. We're like, well, I went to the conference. I learned a lot. I didn't do anything with it.
And it goes back to many people that I coach. And I've taken some businesses that were making, I mean, right, don't get me wrong. I've taken businesses that were making 19 million to 42 million, did a equity EBITDA, and did some big players, right? But the truth is this, it doesn't, right? We all have blocks. We all have things that keep us from seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want you to understand is many people that I've seen, whether you're trying to make your first 100,000, whether you're trying to make your first million, whether you're trying to make 10 million, the truth is this, is that most people keep themselves stuck in who they were instead of who they're becoming. And that's the whole reason we just launched our new book, The Millionaire Mind Language, because it's your language that keeps you stuck in the past. It's your language that keeps you stuck, Tony, in the old identity. We just came out of the studio. It's going to be on here on Audible. by in a couple of weeks. By next week, it should be on Audible. But the Millionaire Mind language, words that create wealth. And I played with the words because I want people to understand words that create wealth. Oh, Daniel's talking about money. Well, no. Yes, it does involve revenue and sales, but how many of us, think about this, Tony, how many of us chase down a potential client? We call them, we email them. They finally respond to us and they finally answer the phone. And I call Tony, and when I get Tony on the phone, the first thing I say is, Tony, did I catch you at a bad time?
Yes, as 100% you did. You're so smart.
Yes.
It was such a bad time. I picked up the phone just to tell you that it's not a good time.
Yes. So I guarantee you, when you study this book in and out, when you study it, and I just read it, because the truth is this, ladies and gentlemen, you forget over 85% of what you read within the first month. Right? Write that down. You forget 85% of what you read within the first month. So don't just say, "Oh, I get a kick out of people when they say, "Oh, I read 100 books." I'm like, "Well, great this year, great. What do you remember from the books?" "Well, I read them." Well, what good does it do to read them if you're not retaining it and you're not applying it based on what we're talking about? So in the Millionaire Mind language, I talk about things. I talk about situations, right? How's your executive president? How's your executive presence? The language to who you were to where you're going to. And you got to start investing in that future self of yours. And most people, they want to grow. They want to do this and do that, but their language never changes. So in return, somewhere on their journey, as they're going down, they revert back to their old selves because they're not changing the language. And then you literally, like, I get insurance agents that hit me up all the time on LinkedIn. Hey, you finally give them the time of day, man or woman, and they lead with that. "Oh, did I catch you at a bad time?" And right away, you spent months and you just killed your opportunity. Why? Because in the book, I call it, you lead with weak language, Tony.
Yeah. And I want to be real clear for agents that are hearing this. Like, I don't understand. I'm trying to be polite when I call someone. Like, my agents that I work with, they'll call me and they'll do the same thing. And I know why they're doing it with a great heart, and they're doing it with the right intentions, because they don't want to waste my time, and they want to make sure that I can give them the attention that they deserve when they do call me and they need help. So one of the first things they say is just what Daniel said. "Hey, did I reach you at a bad time? Is now a good time? Do you have time to talk for a couple of minutes?" Dude, I picked up the phone. That should answer your question already. I wouldn't have picked up the phone if it was not a good time. Your prospect would not pick up the phone if he didn't have time to pick up the phone.
Yes.
99.9% of the time, that is 100% true. So why are you leading with that question?
Well,
Stop leading with, "Hey, do you have a quick moment?"
I'm gonna give your audience a nugget, right? This is why you need to go buy the book. I'm just gonna give you, there's 16 chapters in the book. And in one of the chapters, I talk about the word hopefully. Hopefully. How many people do you know that use the word hopefully on a daily basis, Tony? Pretty much.
Probably close to everybody at some level.
And then we say things like, hopefully they answer the phone. Hopefully this interview goes well. Hopefully I can help them with one of my services. It's weak language.
Hopefully Humana makes those deposits this weekend.
Yes. but think about that. Go to your point exactly. Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. Human beings want to be led. They want to be led. People want to be led. And instead of saying, "Well, hopefully, so I'll give you an example perfectly for me, and what me and our team are going through is, well, hopefully when we move into our new office, everything works out. No, we're moving in intention to this new office. It's gonna work. We're gonna scale. We're gonna grow. It's gonna be amazing. Our revenue is gonna 10x, because that's the intention we're setting. But so many people, well, hopefully if I invest in this coach, it'll help me. No, if you go in half-heartedly, then you're going to get a half-hearted result. But when you go in there and you lead with intention, because people want to be led. Think about this. I always kind of reference this because it's just truth. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Caucasian, if you're Asian. I go back to a picture I saw on the news, and I never watched the news when the Hurricane Katrina came to Houston, Texas. And they had the video and the picture over and over. That's how much it affected my heart. They were the man asked, the reporter asked this person, "You're an African American. Why are you saving all these kids?" Because he said it doesn't matter if they're black, Chinese, white. Everybody deserves to live, and everybody needs help in life. Sometimes they're drowning. They're drowning in Houston, Texas, in this hurricane. And when I saw the trash can of all these different races and people, at the end of the day, we're all God's people. And once he took the lead, and got out of panic. Listen to what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. Once he got out of panic, because when you're in panic, you can't do crap. Let's be honest. When you're in panic, you're in destruction mode. When you're in panic, you make bad decisions. But once this man got out of the panic mode and planted his 2 feet, got a trash can, started throwing kids in there that needed to live from this hurricane in Houston, guess what other people started doing?
Same.
Because they started looking at what they had instead of what they didn't have. And so many times in business, Tony, we look at what we don't have and we improvise, we make excuses, we reason with ourselves, we blame it on Tony, we blame it on Cody Askins, his course didn't work, we blame it on Daniel Gomez, man, he didn't help me become a paid speaker. Well, no, you didn't do your part. Let's be honest. So people, at the end of the day, they want to be led. And when you use the language of an executive president and you realize, man, I've been saying this, I never realized it, everything changes.
Yeah, the words you speak definitely matter. It was 8% Nation, I think 2023. If I remember correctly, Jesse Itzler came out and gave a talk understanding that the words that you speak matter. And he said it over and over throughout the thing. And he talked about, it's very similar, because we led this off with resilience, right? And just to define it real quick for everybody, resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, also known as toughness. And Itzler talked about that because, and he gave it, the story that he told while he was weaving all this was him going through, I think it was a 24-hour foot race. And yes, he hired that, I can't remember the dude's name, but he's an ex-Marine that now trains marathon runners that are in these ridiculous, like 24-hour endurance races and stuff like that. And he talked about that and trained Itzler to constantly tell himself, I feel great. Hey, how do we feel? We feel terrific, or we feel outstanding. How do you feel? I feel outstanding, even though his feet are bleeding.
Yes.
As he's going through this race. How do you feel? I feel outstanding, because the words that you speak matter. And that doesn't just, and I'm obviously saying that from the words that you speak about yourself matter, right? So we can go back to what Daniel was saying, is investing in yourself. Are you investing in yourself with the right language that you speak to yourself about? Or are you reinforcing the bullshit that people told you years ago about why you can't do it? And then certainly the words that you speak towards other people as a leader, to put yourself in a leadership capacity, 100% matter.
Yes. The truth is, when you move with intention, everything changes. When you move with intention, everything changes. In my book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, I use the word intentional because I want to anchor that word in your subconscious mind. When you're intentional about this, when you're intentional about investing in yourself, when you're intentional about touching the dream, filling the dream, when you're intentional on expanding your capacity to receive more. The problem with a lot of human beings in business is that they come to business with the teaspoon of belief and faith, and then God has an abundance in the ocean for them, but they show up with a teaspoon. And it's like God's sitting there saying, why are you showing up with the teaspoon when we have oceans of blessings? And why didn't you show up in a 55-gallon barrel and fill it up? And I'm like, that's a great way to look at it. But that's the way we approach it. And we lead with, I can't afford this. I can't afford that. I can't afford this. Well, you can't, but yet you're eating out every day. going back to, you just bought that purse for yourself. You went to this Vegas trip with your girls, with your girlies, because girlies got to have fun. You got to have fun. But when you really put the numbers to it, that Las Vegas trip that you took with your friend because you had to be there, it was a must. If not, you were going to die. That trip cost you $600 for airfare, $400 for the hotel, another $1,000 in food and drink. So $2,000. Imagine if that was invested in you. Because I'm gonna stay on that, because when you're poor minded, you don't see yourself as an investment. You see yourself as a cost, and everything you see as a cost, it's a liability.
It's such a wild perspective that we have as people, that will look at getting the brand new iPhone that we probably don't need because our iPhone 14 is still fine, but we want the iPhone 17 and we'll call it a business investment, right? We'll go get us some new clothes and we'll call it a business investment that we may or may not need. Maybe you do need a new suit, maybe you don't. But then we'll be like, oh, there's tickets to this conference that might teach me how to speak better, a better language, might teach me how to sell better, might teach me how to lead my team better. But like, no, can't do that. That's what is that? That's an expense.
Yeah. And it's really an investment.
But it's 100% true. Well, it's an investment if you take it with the right mindset, right?
But we've been embedded so much as human beings to think a certain way, and you really get someone who cares you and loves you, like a Tony, like a Joe, like a Cody, and like a Roy, and they just want my money. That's their cop out. So maybe you're watching this, and maybe someone's been trying to help you, and they really sincerely trying to help you to coach you to the next level. And why are you not accepting, or why are you not hiring a coach? Think about this. One of the things that actually here coming up in 2 weeks, 14 days, the 27th of January, we're going to be 8 years in business. And I attribute my success to right away, I hired a coach, and then 3 weeks later, I hired another coach. I hired a speaking coach. I hired this other coach, and it accelerated. So listen to what I'm about to say, ladies and gentlemen. When you hire a coach, everything they've gone through, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, they collapse it in time for you, to where you get shortcuts where you do it in months or years, depending on you, the individual. And I just took this, and it was a new thing to me. I don't want to pay somebody to coach me. What is a coach? I didn't even know what a coach was, in all transparency, and as far as in business goes. But because I hired a coach, I got the United States Air Force to hire me as a speaker. Because I hired a coach, it put me in bigger rooms quicker. And how else can I be where I'm at? And listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you're talking about, we survived COVID because of some of the coaching that I was able to get along the way. And many of you think, I know. Well, if you know, why are you still broke? If you know, why is your agency not succeeding? If you know, why are you still making excuses? How many people do you say, I know? Well, if you know, you don't know, because this is going back to what we were talking about earlier. All those insecurities in you are more focused because you don't even want to realize the truth that you need to heal those traumas. You need to heal the shame and the guilt as a man, as a woman. Maybe you had an affair. Maybe you got drunk one time and you did something stupid and you haven't forgiven yourself. Or maybe you're that mom that got home and you tore into your daughter and because your mother was mean. Like, this stuff hinders your business. But on the flip side, to make you feel better, to cope, write that word down, cope. You cope, well, I'm going to go buy a brand new iPhone 17 because I'm going to feel better. In your poverty consciousness, you can't even afford the iPhone 17. You put it on credit, but you can't do the same to invest in yourself and your business. And you wonder why God ain't blessing it. Because God always looks at the motive, Tony. What's the motive of why you're buying something? What's the motive of what you're doing something? And I'm glad you started off today's episode with the way you did, because the truth is this. You're going to go to events. You're going to have meetings. You're going to have things the way you would want them to start. And it's not going to be the way you think it's going to be. but it's how you respond in the moment. How are you going to respond to what's presented to you? How are you going to respond to the, man, the projector didn't work, I can't do my presentation. Okay, man, the copies didn't arrive right. Man, it's cold. Man, they moved me up in the speaker lineup. Whatever your excuse is, I'll never forget. They hired me for this big speaking presentation. They paid me and everything. We show up. It was actually in Austin, and they had it at this restaurant. Restaurant was supposed to have everything set up, which they did kind of. And as soon as we start, the projector falls and breaks. And I'm like, okay, now I'm not near the speaker I was now, but I was still good. But I'm like, I had a choice in that moment, and I could have complained. I said, well, suck it up, Buttercup. But it's those moments in adversity when things didn't go Daniel's way that I realized, man, I really grew as a speaker. I grew as a coach. It took me to the next level. And sometimes we get caught up when things don't go our way. Right away, we go to complaining. And when you complain, you kill your momentum. When you complain, and then we say this, man, I just wasted my time. Then ingratitude kicks in. Well, I don't know about you, but in the world that I live in, ingratitude, it's one of the worst emotions you can have, because it just shows God that you're not grateful. So what you're not grateful for, you lose. What you don't appreciate will not appreciate you back. And what you take for granted will eventually leave you. And I've met many people since I've been introduced to the insurance agency, like, hey, I wonder what happened to so and so. Either the success got to their head and they got cocky and arrogant, became an ugly person, or they just drifted because they thought they knew it all and they didn't. And they didn't have the understanding that, man, getting to success, listen to my heart, ladies and gentlemen, getting to the level of success is one thing, but sustaining it, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Because anybody can be a one-hit wonder, but can you sustain the success that God wants to give you? And most people, from what I've seen, and I'm speaking to myself because I had to work on this, is I think of the great Jim Rohn as I'm saying this, right? You want to become a millionaire, not because of the money. It's because the person you have to become to sustain that level of wealth and success. And when your character shifts, and my character shifted, and I realized, like, man, I got a lot of stuff I got to work on. And I didn't want to believe it, Tony. I didn't want to believe it. But I can honestly tell you, I can be genuine with your audience and say this past year, I really was intentional and allowing myself to love again and to be loved. Because I didn't realize for how much pain I had from betrayals, from hurt, from just life and business and people that ex-employees. And I want to give your audience this perspective. I'm gonna be kind of silly with y'all guys, because I want to anchor this with you. This is important, right? When you walk in to the meeting room and you're with your perspective and you see things through your own green glasses, you're hard-headed. You're hard-headed. But when you realize, right, you look at betrayal as, man, they backstabbed me, I'm going to show them, screw them. When you have these angry glasses of perspective towards betrayal, then it hurts you because A, you become bitter. But when you change your perspective and you say, man, God, thank you for the betrayal. It made me wiser in my finances. It made me a better leader because I realized I had to change this. And the truth is, if Jesus had a Judas, what makes us better that we're not going to have a Judas in our lives? That Judas is sent to make you better. And once I shifted that perspective, Tony, I'm like, that inner anger that I had, I'm like, you know what? Thank you, dude, for screwing me over. You made me a better business owner. You know what? Thank you for doing that for me when I thought you were going to be with me on this entire journey. You helped me realize that I need to be a little bit wiser in this capacity. But it also built, going back to the word we opened up with, it built my resilience.
Yep.
Because you need you need those betrayals to make you the person you're about to become. And when you start shifting that perspective and you take off the woes me, I'm going to show them, F them, man. No, like that's negative energy. Negative energy will take you to a certain point, but it's not sustainable. It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, because it's destructive in and of itself. That's what makes it negative. And the more you feed it, the more it feeds itself. It's like that picture of the snake that eats itself, right?
Yes.
It's just a vicious cycle that you used to get stuck in, and it will self-perpetuate. So you got to break out of that. You said something striking, and I want to hit on it real quick and ask you a question. And I think you said it perfect, right? You said a lot of times, right, we won't do the things that we need to do because it's about who we have to become in order to sustain that, right? And we have to have a character shift and a mindset shift in order to become that person. What might you say to someone who, when they do that self-reflection and they realize, like, oh, I got a bunch of stuff I need to work on, that they get into a space where, like, wow, I have so much stuff to work on that I'm probably hopeless. Like, there's so much garbage when I really do that introspection and I look within myself, I see so much crap that I need to expel or expunge or change or massage or shift or adjust. I don't know where to start, and they start to get that sense of overwhelmingness. What might you tell someone that comes to you and says, man, I hear what you're saying, but I don't even know where to start. Like, I look inside myself and all I see is
That's
grotesqueness.
easy. That's easy. All you need is a little bit of Jesus. All you need is a little bit of Jesus, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
got one of those too.
And when you realize
Mine's got legs though. Yours ain't got no legs.
he got some feet. Yes, I think
Okay. It's just
the
got
lighting, I think, but
longer tunic.
when you realize you were forgiven at the cross, it's a starting point, because I should be dead. I have a scar from the top of my chest to the bottom of my abdominal where I try to kill myself, commit suicide.
Whew.
I got home many days late on my heart that I should have been killed. And it was a lot of stuff. But when you realize that when you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, it washes away a lot of the dirt that's on you initially. That's the first step, is realizing you need help. And when you realize you need help, for me, I don't speak about God because of religion. I'm not religious. One thing people say, Daniel, I hate religion. Well, guess what? I hate religion too. So we're on the same page. We like each other already. So thank you for liking me. I said, but for what I've come to experience, because when I accepted God into my life, when my dad was dying and they gave him literally a week to live to 2 weeks, God gave me a whole year with him, because I started changing my life when I was 26. And it's things that I experienced. Like no Bible told me, no book told me. These are like live experiences where I experienced the presence of God because I was open to a new perspective, right? I was open to a new, not religion. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, not religion. Screw religion. But Jesus Christ, the man that died on the cross for you and me, he helped me. Because I was very angry, Tony. Man, you talk about the person you just described, that's me. That was the old Daniel. And that my name wasn't even Daniel. They would call me Danny Gomez. And my wife, when somebody says Danny, her ears go up because they know it's from my past life. You follow me? So a lot of I think right now maybe I have one or two family members that say Danny, but in the business world, if anybody calls me Danny, my wife says they're no good for me, because that's the old Danny, right? I'm not in that life anymore. So when I accepted my new identity, right? You have to accept your new identity in God, and everything just changed. My anger went away, and I was still angry, but it's in layers. So the first step is this: know that you're forgiven, accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, forgive yourself, Like, really forgive yourself of your mistakes. And then just know it's a process and you have to be kind to yourself. If somebody would have told me that it was going to take such a long process, I would have been like, man, never mind. But because we don't want to come to the reality that there's so many things wrong with me. But now I understand that, listen to what I'm about to say. Every new level, maybe you're watching this right now and you're not an insurance agent, you're not in business, you're just a person. Great. But every new level of life that God's taking you higher to, every new level of business that you're going to, the next level is going to require 10, 100 times more of the new you. And that is when the exposure of, okay, we need to work on this, Tony. We need to work on this, Daniel. We need to work on this, Gomez family. Because what goes up higher, listen to my heart, and what goes up higher, it needs a more stable foundation. So you can't have a 10-story hotel foundation of a 100-story high rise. And that's what many people want to do. They want to build up, but they still have the foundation of the 1-story house they lived in. And they never went to a 10-story foundation to carry the new levels. Because why? They never dealt with the deeper issues of their own life. And why am I saying this? Because we see them all around us. I can walk into an organization when I'm business coaching or business consulting, and they'll pay me to go in there. That department leader is a problem. And sometimes I'll tell the people that brought me in, right? You brought me in to tell you the truth, correct? Yeah, you're the problem. Because an insecure leader puts the lid on the organization. And it's amazing when the lid raises, which is the owner many times, the revenue goes up, the culture changes, because this is what an insecure leader is going to do. We'll just say somebody is that person that you described, without forgiving themselves, without trying to do it on their own merit. They're going to micromanage. They're going to say things like, man, if no one can do it like me, I wish, right? No one does it as good as me. They have that mentality, and they wonder why they're not growing, why their business is stuck, or they question everything, or they don't allow people grace of, hey, a minute coming back from lunch. No, like, your insecurities. If you're right, we've all heard of helicopter moms, but imagine helicopter business owners. That's the reason many businesses don't grow, because the leader hasn't dealt with those things that you described. And you got to just release it, because a big part of success is the business owner being healed and whole.
Well said. Well said. Man, we took this episode, we started talking about resilience and as what you need in this business to get by in this business. Daniel took it full circle for us in describing the resilience you need to grow as an individual. Because if you grow as an individual, just like he just said, your organization, your people will grow right behind you. Well said, sir.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you taking time to come on.
No. And what I'll do for your community, I'll put it here. I know we're in you're in Joe's community. I'll put my link there. I want to bless anyone who wants a complimentary discovery session. I'll put my Meet Daniel Gomez link. If you want to talk about something that me and Tony discuss free of charge to your community, we'll jump on a call. I'll put the link. As a matter of fact, let me put it right now, and just schedule a call with me, and we can have a conversation. And maybe you heard something, and maybe you're in your office by yourself crying right now because you've been asking for a prayer, and Tony and brought me on today, and I think it's for a reason. Like nothing. I've learned, right? I've learned nothing happens by chance, Tony, and
very little.
Right. And I think, like, for you, when you invited me to come speak at your event, I hadn't heard from you in a while. And then it was in Spanish, and you challenged me speak in Spanish. I'm like, well, I don't want to speak in Spanish, right? I want to speak in Spanglish. But my point is this: when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And many times we don't like the way the teacher looks, so we make excuses for ourselves. And stop doing that to yourself. Tony was my teacher. Do it in Spanish, and it opened up so many opportunities for me. And you have to be open to what God's wanting to do in your life, ladies and gentlemen. So stop being so close-minded.
Boom. Well said, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Hey, Daniel's got a bunch of great books. The Millionaire Mindset, right? Or the Millionaire Mind, I believe is what it's called. Then you have the Millionaire Mind Language. That's
Yeah,
the new one coming out.
Yeah, this is already on Audible. It's on Amazon. The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. You can get a copy of that. And then the Millionaire Mind Language just released. It's on hardback on Amazon. The Audible will be out here by next week. So they're both available. Just put Daniel Gomez in books, and all my books will come up. But I would recommend you definitely start here if you're a new agent, because you need the mind. Without the mindset, it's not going to work. And then you need, after you read that one, read this one, because the language, you need to start speaking from the perspective of who you're becoming. And I just put my link in the chat. So, ladies and gentlemen, book a call with me. My gift to you and everybody else. And it's just, you got to give. You got, people say, well, what's the catch? There's no catch, because somebody took the time. Tony took the time to reach out to me and invite me to Houston, and that's the catch. You give back.
Yeah, and it sparked, what is turning out to be a good friendship, and I'm sure we'll continue to cross paths and work together and do things and collaborate. So, man, I appreciate you, and I'm super happy that I was because I wasn't going to go to SWAT that year either. I wasn't supposed to be there the year that you showed up.
Really?
I was not supposed to be there at all. And then in the last minute, I was like, all right, fine, I'll go. I had an extra, I think Stephen Guilfoyle was like, hey, man, I overbought tickets. Do you want to go ahead and go? I'll just throw you a ticket. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'll cruise up there with Joe. And I went and I surprised Nate and had some fun. And as you may remember, that was the same year I dressed like Joe on stage, and we did this weird substitute thing and had fun. But that's where I got to meet you. And then from showing up somewhere that I wasn't supposed to be and meeting you, you evolved. I was able to invite you to come to Invictus, support us, help you grow some more, do some other collaborations. Got your books, obviously met you, follow your content, and appreciate you. So, and I look forward to coming down to San Antonio and hanging out on the lake. So,
yeah, let's do it, brother. Well, thank you for having me, my brother. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Go back and watch this episode again. Study it, because Tony just asked some great questions, and it's only going to help you become better. And Father God, I just lift up everybody watching this episode right now. I declare and I decree that 2026 is going to be your best year yet. I declare a year of expansion, a year of God's grace and favor. I declare the favor of God is going before everyone watching this episode, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen, amen, and amen.
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 Perfect place to leave it, man.
Thank you,
We'll
brother.
see you guys next Tuesday.
Woo, let's go.